I'm Carl, and you're watching the Coffee Bowling Channel.
Welcome back to the Coffee Bowling Channel. So today we're doing how to read lane graphs, and it is going to be on Scorpion today. So there's three pertinent things. Obviously, we're going to jump right on into it. There's three pertinent things that you need to take into consideration when you first look at a lane graph, and these are like just the first three things that stick out in my mind: volume, length, and the cliff zone. I'm going to explain all three of these real quickly for you. So the volume is like the total amount of oil it's in the pattern. So it's 30 milliliters of oil. Generally, that's considered a lot of oil. Anything over 25 is on the heavy side. So you can keep that, anything that's anywhere from like 20 to 25, that's like medium to like light, and then anything lower than 20 is like seriously light. So length, that's 42 feet. So how do you figure out your break point? By just having that number. You can always do the Kegel, subtract 31 from that, and you will get your break point of 11. So, that's a good way to do it too. But I like to look at the lane graph as well to see what kind of cliff zone we're working with. So this cliff zone. So the cliff zone is what I call from like where the pattern goes from the least amount of oil to the heaviest amount of oil. Now I personally see it from 9 to 14. And if you look here on the lane graph, you see where this dark oil is right here? That is about board 9-ish, board 10-ish, and that is only oiled till about 15 feet. And that's a little harder to see on our graph here, which I'm going to zoom in a little bit later. But so like 9, that board 9 is only oiled to 15 feet, whereas board 14 is oiled all the way down to the 42-foot mark. And when you're seeing some weird ball reaction, it makes a whole lot more sense to have your ball in the oil longer. But yeah, it does give you options on what you want to do for this kind of pattern. So when I look at the shape of a pattern, I look to see whether it's like clipped or not, or super flat. Usually the flatter it is, the harder it is, and the more clipped it is, they just play with different characteristics. So this is it's a fairly flat cliff. It's a 1 to 3. The ratio on something like this, a 1 to 3, it's going to be fairly flat, but you'll see like a little play area, which means like your cliff zone is a very small area on the lane. If you can manipulate it, you can bowl very high scores. But if you don't manipulate it, you will be in other parts of the lane that are completely flat, and that's where it begins to get very hard. So let me explain that. So this is about board 8, and right of that is all very flat. So you're not going to be able to miss right into less oil, if that makes sense. So you're going to have to be very direct with your launch angles if you are going to play there. If you were to play anywhere between 9 to 14, you can break that zone down, and you'll know you have a mound of oil to the left of you, or you have a little bit of a friction zone to the right of you, because around the 9 area is only oiled anywhere from about 13 to 25 feet. So your ball's going to pick up in the mid lane really hard in that zone. And as you move further left, you'll notice if you get it outside too early, the ball's going to stand up immediately and probably overhook. So the further you move left on this pattern, it's almost like you have to follow this zone right here in the middle of the lane just to keep your ball in the oil longer so it doesn't start hooking too early on you. So some general lane play tips is, in the start of practice, if you want to try to give yourself the more opportunistic way to get some high scores, take a dull sanded ball and break down anywhere from in between the first and the second arrow. Give yourself an accidental miss right zone, and then you'll jump left of that, so you'll start the block anywhere from in between the second and third arrow, maybe even slightly past the third arrow, depending on how far left you're going to get, or the lane surface. So definitely take into the lane surface, the friction of the lane surface that you're playing. If it's a high friction surface, you're going to have to start out probably much further left, weaker ball. If it's a low friction lane surface, you are going to be able to have a stronger ball in your hand, probably be able to play a little more direct and a little more straighter. So either way, you're going to be in that cliff zone right about here. You're going to be going straight, or you're going to be throwing into it. There's no real point in going outside of it unless there's some kind of crazy topography that allows you to do so, or you're like on some wood lanes or something. But as you move left, you're going to find plenty of head oil. There is a lot of head oil in this pattern. So I can't see the front part of the lane is going to get beat up if people are left of you, but when you start moving left, you'll notice a lot of head oil. And generally, you're going to keep your launch angle like going towards like either like in between the 3-6 or the 3-pin on this one, especially as you move further left. So the name of the game isn't really to swing it out super far, it's just to move left to find head oil, but still keep the ball fairly in front of you. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to be trying to do this a lot more because I think it's going to be very helpful, and it will keep you guys from going into the pattern blind. That way it's going to add on to just seeing my ball go down the lane on this pattern. You also get to be able to look at a lane graph and hopefully be a little more educated on it. And to the guys who really know this stuff as well, if anybody in the comments has a question about it and I don't get to it, feel free to educate them too. So thanks for guys for watching. Thanks for showing me all the love. I appreciate all the support you guys give me. See you next time.